Okay, today we're going to be making our decorative corn, and we're going to be using warm and cool colors to color them in. But first of all, we have to get the corn made. So corn, remember, is kind of that oval shape, and we have these long pieces of paper. I'm going to make the corn actually go from about here to here, so I need an oval that's going to go here. And then I'm going to have the rest of this be the husk that kind of comes up to the top. So here we go. I'm going to start with this oval. I'm going to start with your pencil first. Don't draw as heavy as I am, but I'm going to make this nice big oval, and I want to make it bigger so that it's easier for myself to color in. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a grid on the corn, and I'm going to do this lightly again so that I don't have to do too much erasing. But this grid is going to show me where the kernels of corn go, and remember, those kernels of corn, they do go in rows. So I'm going to take and I'm just going to make a few rows like this. I'm not going to make too many of them because I don't want to make too many circles. So I have some rows coming down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows this direction. That's probably good enough. And then I'm going to start making some more rows in this direction. These obviously will have more rows going in this direction because it's longer. I want to have the spaces for the kernels be about as big as my finger, so I don't want to make them too much smaller. Otherwise, it's just going to get frustrating for me to fill in. All right, there. Then I'm going to start making that husk, and they can just be some squiggly lines. They can get close together, they can go far apart, however you want those to look. There we go. Now, I'm going to take my Sharpie right away. I'm not going to use my pencil anymore, so I can put that away. I'm going to start by tracing some of the lines. I'm going to start with just the husk here. Now, I'm going to go in, and instead of tracing the grid lines, I am going to go inside of each space, and I'm going to make a kernel of corn, and I'm going to try to have the kernel touch each of those pencil lines so it fills up that space, and it actually starts to look kind of like pieces of corn. So I'm finished now with making all of these kernels of corn. You can see why I don't want my grid to be too small, because it just takes a long time to get all those circles in. So now I get to start coloring. We're going to use our warm colors, and remember, warms are reds, oranges, and yellows. So any reds, oranges, and yellows you have, we're using crayons today because we're actually going to be mixing some of our colors. So here are some of my colors that I'm going to be using. If you have others, use those. Maybe you have a pink or other forms of red. Go ahead and use all of those, and we're going to start mixing our colors on our corn and the husk. Before I color, if I have a big eraser, I should probably do that too. Okay, notice how I started with just a few of the same color to begin with. I can always add more in, but I just used yellow to make it a little bit faster. Now I'm gonna go in with some other colors so that I can layer my color so it starts to look a little bit blended and decorative. So I'm gonna choose this sort of color. It's kind of a reddish orange color. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start kind of mixing these colors together. So I have this just on the edge, maybe here, maybe it's kind of more in the center here, kind of going off to the side. Maybe it's on the top on this one. Again, here on the side. So I'm just going in and adding a little bit of extra color to this one here. Now maybe I want some of them to be a little darker. I'll get a darker color and I'm gonna go ahead and do that same thing, but just with a little bit different color. Or maybe I want them to start darker. So I can go in then with another color, a little darker, and then I can mix it with something else to get the color to change. So I'm layering all of the colors that I have for my corn kernels to make it just kind of spectacular and really look like decorative corn. Okay, do you see any that I missed? I might have missed one. Oops, I see one with an extra color here. There we go. So now I have all my kernels have one or two, I guess 2 or 3 colors inside of them, so they start to look a little bit more decorative. Now I'm gonna move to the husk, and I'm also gonna use those warm colors for the husk. Same thing, I'm just gonna blend my colors. So now I can start to do the background with my cool colors. So I'm done with all of my warm colors. I don't need those anymore. I'm gonna gather up my warm colors now instead. So blues, greens, and purples. Pull out all the blues, greens, and purples that you have. It can be turquoise, it can be a light purple, whatever it is, blues, greens, and purples, and now we can start to color in the background. When you're done with your background, that'll probably go the fastest. You're gonna take your Sharpie one last time and you're gonna really carefully color in the spaces that are left over in between your corn kernels so that it fills it up and it starts to kind of look more like a shadow. So when you're all done, it's gonna have this really nice look to it. Here's one that I did that's all finished. You can see how it looks really nice when we have that black space in the center. It just makes it even look a little bit more round. So this one I did with colored pencil. This one I did with crayon, and of course I'm not finished with this one yet, but I'm going to be, but this is kind of what it will look like when it's all finished. Go ahead and finish with your crayons and Sharpies and enjoy your art project.